Of the mistakes that guys make when fingering pussy, the number one biggest mistake that I hear from so many women is that guys just go in there too hard, too fast, like they're in a rush, or they're trying to give her an orgasm straight away. And most women don't like this. One of the biggest tools in your arsenal is anticipation and building up that anticipation with her. Don't just go straight for the jugular, trying to finger her really hard, really quickly, but build her up. Pay attention to the entirety of her vulva. Touch her over the top of her jeans or her underpants and slowly work your way in, bringing blood flow into the area before you amp up the pressure and the speed. Otherwise, you can hurt her. And another thing that hurts her is not lubricating your fingers. If you don't lubricate your fingers, then as you slide your finger in, it's going to get caught on the skin on the outside and actually grab it. So lubricate your fingers with her wetness, use some lubricant, or if you don't have that, then just use some spit to lubricate your finger on both sides before sliding smoothly in. You also don't want to just finger fuck her or jab in and out with your fingers. While some women can like this, most women don't, or if they do like it, it's only right at the end when they're fully aroused and very close to orgasm. So many guys seem to know this as the only technique. Using different fingering techniques to stimulate the roof of her vagina or the entrance to her vagina is way better for most women. So go ahead and check out my detailed video on exactly how to finger pussy. Even if you know your techniques, a big mistake a lot of guys make is they have this linear progression of pleasure. And by this, I mean they might start slow, but then they amp things up, start to get a little faster, and then continue to amp things up, trying to push her towards orgasm almost in this linear line. This can be predictable, it can put pressure on her to feel like she needs to orgasm. A better thing to do is to take her through waves of pleasure. So you build her up and then bring her back down again. Then maybe build her up even higher and then bring her back down again. Enjoy your time down there until eventually you build her up into orgasm. So rather than this linear progression of pleasure, you're taking her through these waves of pleasure, and there's this amazing technique you can use right as you're about to bring her to orgasm that can push so many girls over the edge. Go to passionately.com/oral where you can get access to that detailed video where I'll show you the techniques that you can use to give her mind-blowing orgasms. The sixth mistake is not pleasuring the clitoris and the entirety of the vulva. So if you're in there and you're fingering, often it's not going to be enough for her. You also want to pay attention to her whole vulva and especially the clitoris, which is the most sensitive part. There's a couple of different ways you can do this when fingering her. You can use your thumb on the clitoris, or you can use your other hand to stimulate the clitoris, or you can go ahead and while you're fingering her, use your mouth to stimulate the clit as well. Just make sure you're communicating with her throughout this to make sure it feels good, because the next biggest mistake is a lack of communication or communicating in the wrong way. A great line that I like to use is, "Tell me if this is too much." So when I'm down there fingering or giving oral, I'm paying attention to her body and her movements to try and work out what she likes. But by saying to her, "Let me know if this is too much," she can then tell me if it's starting to hurt or if I'm being too aggressive or too intense. Communication is a great way to create a connected experience with your partner, and a big mistake that guys are making is they're not doing this. So they're just honing in, focusing on the vulva, and that's it. But you want to be connecting with your partner at the same time. Use your hands to touch the entirety of her body. Kiss her neck, be intimate with her while you're pleasuring her down there. And if you've done all this and you are building her up towards orgasm, don't make the last mistake, which is changing rhythm just as she's about to orgasm. While you don't want to have the same rhythm the whole time you're fingering her, if you can tell she likes what you're doing and she's getting close to orgasm, don't deviate from what you're doing. A lot of guys make the mistake that when she's getting closer to orgasm, they start going harder and faster, when really all they need to do is maintain what they're doing to get her over the edge. You want to make sure you're using the right fingering techniques that feel really good for her so you can build her up to this orgasm. So go ahead and check out the video on exactly how to finger pussy like a pro.